If a thief came and said, I want $15,000 of your money, give it to me or I will arrest you, what would you do?
Well, I'd have a hard time finding that cash.
Would you believe that there are thieves at work taking your money, and the cost to our nation, $1.9 trillion. We're going to tell you what the thief is, who the thieves are, and where they are located.
Well, it's, you know, taxes, taxes, taxes. Critics say the government regulations are becoming so burdensome, they're slowing down the economy. We don't need that. Paul Strand has this look at just how much they cost.
Well,
you are not worthy to receive these 10 commandments.
When God sent Moses down from the mountaintop, it was with just 10 commandments. But the federal government obviously thinks we need a lot more, leading Wayne Cruz to call his latest report on their proliferating 10,000 commandments.
So I picked 10,000 commandments, but now, of course, we've got a lot more than 10,000 commandments because we've had 88,000 regulations just in the past decade.
Cruz documents all this from his position at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. He says there are more federal regulations on the books than most humans could ever read.
The Federal Register this past year was 79,000 pages. Imagine that, 79,000 pages of rules.
The costs are real and substantial. Cruz says just look at how Obamacare's dictates are already affecting businesses.
It's been all over the news about Obamacare and how companies are either downsizing, job formation rates are much lower, companies are putting their employees on part-time basis rather than full-time. So regulation is a heavy load.
Cruz figures federal regulations cost the economy a whopping $1.9 trillion a year, an eighth of the country's GDP. But let's make it personal. It costs your household almost $15,000 a year.
And if you think about the average family income of about $65,000 in that neighborhood, it's around 23%. It's the biggest item in the family budget, if you think of it that way, you know, except for housing. You know, it's bigger than entertainment, food, you know, everything else.
Don't blame Congress. They're too gridlocked to do much regulating. It's the federal agencies spewing them out, some 3,600 regulations in an average year.
Last year, there were 51 regulations for every law passed by Congress.
And Cruz says the very most expensive kind, what are called economically significant rules, are growing especially fast, 191 last year.
That doesn't mean a little bit of money or it just might bother you a little bit. An economically significant regulation is one that officially is designated to cost $100 million a year.
Many are saying it's time to question whether the benefits of rules and regulations are worth the lost jobs, lost growth, and nearly $2 trillion they shave off the American economy every year. But Cruz warns, as the nanny state grows ever bigger and takes more and more control of Americans' lives, the biggest cost to them may be in things not so easily measured.
And one thing that we never measure is loss of liberty. You know, what is the cost of losing our liberties?
Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
Well, you hire somebody and you say you're a regulator. So he says, I've got to regulate something, so maybe I can write up a law. And then he can say, this is my signature law. I think the next president, assuming he's of a different party, should just say, they're all canceled. All those regulations, just executive order, I cancel them all. Start all over again. It is an unconscionable drain on our economy. Something I read the other day is kind of cute. Did you ever, your grandmother, anybody, have one of those little amulet things, you know, with the little ivory, you know, the little piece of jewelry with ivory in it, you know, the ones that...
You mean like a little brooch or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
With ivory, you had one? That's illegal.
I know, but if it's old, it's okay, right?
Well,
I mean,
you got to have a certificate showing that grandmother purchased it.
No, my grandmother did not have one of those.
Yeah, no, Grandma, keep it. But I mean, this is one agency.
Piano keyboards used to be made out of ivory years ago.
Of course, they still are. Ivory and ebony. I mean, it's insanity. But I think this was the Fish and Game Administration or Food and is one of those obscure agencies.
One of those groups.
Yeah, one of those groups that you don't know anything about. Just put that rule into effect that all the ivory all around, everywhere. This is crazy. That's going to stop evil poachers from coming from Kenya into Uganda and killing elephants. Not a chance.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
The only way, you know, when you get to the number that we're talking about of what exists now, though, the only way to do it is almost to abolish it all and start over. Because how would you even manage that?
A president could do that. Executive order, I cancel all executive non-congressional regulations that have been put in effect. Period. They're all gone. Then start from scratch. It'd be the greatest liberating thing known to man.
And save us some money, it seems.
Ladies and gentlemen, they're like termites that are feeding on they get paid by, well, you pay them for this stuff, and termites eat your house. So they live off your house while they're destroying it. These termites live off our house while they are destroying it. And they are not helpful. They call themselves public service. They're feeding on the population, you and me, on the productive sector. Well, in other news, that wonderful woman, that Christian mother who's been sentenced to death in the Sudan, once again has been arrested. They don't want to let her go. Charlene Aaron has that story.
That's right, Pat. 27-year-old Meriam Ibrahim is now accused of forging her passport. The passport was issued by the Embassy of South Sudan, and Ibrahim's attorney says the embassy has assured authorities that the passport is genuine. But media reports say she could face a sentence of up to 7 years on the latest charges. Ibrahim had been sentenced to death for marrying a Christian and abandoning the Muslim faith. On Monday, a Sudanese appellate court overturned her conviction. U.S. officials are trying to resolve the case so the family can leave the country, but some critics say the Obama administration and the State Department haven't done enough to help Ibrahim and her family. Here at home, Speaker of the House John Boehner is considering a lawsuit against President Obama, accusing him of ignoring the law and simply acting on his own. Boehner says Obama is bypassing Congress on certain policies, and he said the president is misusing his executive powers and asserting a, quote, king-like authority.
You know, the Constitution makes it clear that the president's job is to faithfully execute the laws. In my view, the president has not faithfully executed the laws.
White House spokesman John Earnest disagrees with Boehner's actions, saying he doesn't think Americans will support a lawsuit against the president. Pat?
Well, it really doesn't matter what the Americans support. It's a question of what the court finds. It's going to be brought in a court. But I tell you, we ought to support John Boehner on this. It is a very courageous act. It's long overdue. The overreach of this presidency is appalling, just absolutely appalling. They're running all over us, and it's time somebody stopped. And so support Boehner, pray for him, send him letters of support, whatever you do, make him feel like people are with him. Charlene?
Congressional investigators say they have found emails that show that former IRS official Lois Lerner once suggested a possible audit of Republican Senator Charles Grassley. Lerner got an invitation to an event by mistake that was meant for Grassley. The event organizer apparently offered to pay for Grassley's wife to attend, and Lerner suggested in email that it might not be right for the group to pay for the senator's wife. So she asked if auditors might look into the matter, although it wasn't clear if she was suggesting an audit of Grassley or the group or both. But another IRS official said no. Grassley says the incident shows why people are worried about political targeting by IRS officials. Pat?
I tell you, you talk about, you know, incompetent, devious, and now stupid. I mean, that is stupid. Stupid is forever. And she actually targeted Chuck Schumer on the other side. But to get a guy like Chuck Grassley, I mean, Mr. Clean, they love him in Iowa. He could run for Pope in Iowa and he'd get elected. I mean, the people in Iowa just love him. And the man is squeaky clean. And to say, but he didn't even go to that event. He didn't take his wife to the event, but maybe we should audit one of the most powerful senators. Is she crazy? Well, we'll find out sooner or later. They'll get a special prosecutor. She needs to go to jail. Charlene?
Police can no longer search the information on your cell phones without a warrant. That's according to a unanimous ruling Wednesday by the Supreme Court. Caitlin Burke reports on the historic case.
It's a bold ruling for a digital age. A unanimous Supreme Court ruled that privacy rights apply to 21st century technology, specifically cell phones. Modern cell phones hold for many Americans the privacies of life, wrote Chief Justice Roberts. The fact that technology now allows an individual to carry such information in his hand does not make the information any less worthy of the protection for which the founders fought. This opinion dismisses the government's argument that there's no legal distinction between a smartphone and other physical evidence like a wallet or address book that could be found on a suspect during an arrest.
It's a huge victory for anyone who values privacy.
Warrantless searches of a suspect are often justified by the need to protect officers or to prevent a person from destroying evidence. But Justice Roberts said that digital information can't hurt an officer, and police may still take the cell phone. They just can't look at what's on it until they have a warrant. Still, privacy comes at a cost, and some investigations will be disrupted or slowed down. The new ruling has no impact on the National Security Agency's data collection programs, but lawyers involved in the case say the justice's opinions signal their interest in the dangers of government overreach. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
General Mills is dropping aspartame from its Yoplait Light yogurt. Aspartame is better known by the brand names NutraSweet and Equal. The food company says it's replacing it with another artificial sweetener, sucralose, which is used in Splenda. A General Mills spokesman says the company considered alternatives after hearing from consumers that, quote, they wanted a product that did not contain aspartame. The new cups will say now no aspartame. The FDA says aspartame has been extensively studied, but other groups have raised questions about its safety. Pat?
I will immediately go out and buy a carton of Yoplait Light. Congratulations. That is tremendous. We've been talking about aspartame. It takes your mind away. It removes your IQ a number of points. It leaves people in a fog. We've had reports of pilots who were washed out of flying because they were drinking too many diet drinks with aspartame. It is poison. It is the same substance as in white lightning in that moonshine liquor. It's bad for you. And thank goodness, as one company finally acknowledged, the people are screaming about it. Scream more. If you find this stuff, it's in those little blue packets in a restaurant, complain. I don't eat this stuff. It takes my mind away. If you're going to serve it, I'm not going to come back here and eat anymore. Let them know. Let your voice be heard. I think we've been screaming about that for years. One company, Yoplait. Are they French?
I don't know.
It sounds French.
Oui.
Oui, mais oui, monsieur. Ah, c'est bon. Charlene.
Well, parents, if you want to cut your children's chances of obesity, cut out the sugary juices and sodas at mealtime and replace them instead with water. Health scientists in Britain say people, especially kids and teenagers, get most of their sugar from sweetened drinks. And one scientist said it comes back to simple advice to parents: encourage your children to drink water. And speaking of keeping kids healthy, there are more than 10,000 summer camps in America, everything from soccer camp to computer camp. So how do you find the one that fits your child the best? Angela Zadabek shows us where to look for the best camp experience.
Summertime is finally here, which means it's time for many parents to plan summer options for their teenagers. As the season arrives, so does the sun, swimming, and camping in the great outdoors. Greg Hunter heads up the Christian Camp and Conference Association, which has helped set up and run camps since 1963.
So many Christian camps across the country. 850 of them are members of our association, but they come from all denominations, all sizes of camp, different kinds of amenities. Just about any kind of camp you can imagine, they're out there for parents and youth leaders looking for a place to go.
Triple R Ranch is one of the camps that the association helps serve, offering a variety of outdoor activities. I got to spend the day checking a few of them out.
We just have a lot of outdoor activities. We really focus on stuff we have the river with canoeing, the swimming, traditional type camp activities, but the zip lines, team building, we like to work with mission groups that want to get up there and get high on the zip line and try that out. Of course, horses are a big part of Triple R. We're a Western motif type of ranch here on the East Coast, but we're trying to just, again, get kids out of their comfort zone.
And after spending a day in the life of a camper, I could not pass up the vertical challenge to climb the rock wall. And kids today could use the exercise. According to one study, Those from age 10 to 16 spend less than 13 minutes a day in physical activity, compared to 10 hours spent each day relatively motionless. Much of that is due to technology. Camp gets them out of their normal environment and allows them to focus on their faith without distractions.
This is the most stimulated generation in the history of Earth. And so when a kid can unplug from all that and go out into nature and get into temporary community, they can leave behind the things that put pressure on them, that kind of bind them up and keep them right where they are.
With many options to choose from, faith-based summer camps can be an effective way to help young people awaken their faith, build character, and instill moral values. Angela Zatopek, CBN News.
You can find out about different camps and retreats by going to cbnnews.com. And Pat, did you ever go camping when you were a kid?
Oh yeah, sure. You know, I went to a Christian camp, a Baptist-owned camp a long time ago, and it was a great experience. I also went to a camp where every boy had his own horse, and we went out on midnight rides and,
how fun.
and fox hunts and all kinds of things.
Great.
It was great. Rodeos,
great.
the whole thing. It was tremendous. So camps are very, but boy, oh boy, you can get beat up pretty badly. They put snakes in your bed and stuff like that. I mean, that's part of the camping experience.
It's the fun of camping experience.
That's right. Spiders, snakes, rats, all those fun things.
Who wants to miss that, right?
Yeah, sure.
A federal appeals court has ruled for the first time that states cannot prevent same-sex couples from getting married. The 3-judge panel in Denver on the 10th Circuit ruled 2-1 in favor of gay marriage, striking down Utah's ban on it and saying same-sex marriage does not undermine traditional marriage. The ruling is on hold while it's on appeal. Another deadly terrorist attack in Nigeria today. 21 people are dead and 17 wounded in a bombing at a shopping mall in the country's capital, Abuja. It is the latest in a series of violent attacks blamed on Islamic terrorists. 2 separate explosions in April killed more than 120 people and wounded about 200 at a busy bus station in Abuja. Both attacks were claimed by Boko Haram, which has threatened further attacks. More than 2,000 people have been killed in Boko Haram attacks this year. And you can always get the latest from CBN News by going to our website at cbnnews.com.